Right, here we are for our next class. It's Saturday. It was raining, now the sun's come out, so I've no idea. It's just a typical British summer weekend really. Take all your clothes out with you, flip-flops and wellies, so you should be alright. This class is mainly going to be done lying down, so you just need your mat, your pillow if you want one, towel maybe when we do a bit of leg work just to help you hold on to the leg. And we're good to go, so just check your space, make sure there's nothing going to get in your way. Benny is in the room, but he seems quite tired, so you might hear the odd grumble, but it should be alright. And we'll lie down, so I'll just set my time. I know how long I've got you for, and we'll get going. So lying down on your mat, relax the shoulders, reset the hips if you need to. Sometimes it's only when you lie down that you realise just how tight your body's feeling, so just give it a bit of time just to loosen up. Legs bent or straight, whatever's right. When you're ready, turning your head from left to right. Close your eyes if you want to. And start right at the top of the spine, just mobilising through the neck. Hold your head to one side for a few seconds if you want to. It's just gone right here, just check you can see me alright. Yeah, I think I'm okay. I think I'm in view. Just holding your head to one side for a few seconds. Use this time just to check the upper body tension, because we quite often get really tight there and we don't notice. So just check that there's no hunching into your shoulders, lengthening your neck out of your shoulders. Shoulders are relaxed and down. You might even want to turn your hands over, so palms facing up to start with, just to encourage those chest muscles just to relax slightly. Bring your head back to centre, bend your arm, I'm starting with my right arm, and start to circle your elbow a few times, just to mobilise inside that shoulder. 4 or 5 times, and when you've done that, just reverse the circle. Check you're not pushing back into your head, relax the neck. And when that side's done, flip over to the other one. Stirring it around. Both directions. You've got an indication now of how tight your shoulders are feeling. You might decide that you just want to go back and repeat that, or you might be happy to move on. So if you're happy to move on, you're going to lift both hands up to the ceiling. A little squeeze of the ribs down towards the pelvis to allow you to bring the arms back without overarching the back. When your arms have gone back as far as you can without lifting your rib cage, take them around towards your feet and back to the ceiling. So you're making a big circle for you. If you start to feel your back overarching and start to feel a bit tight, then your arms are going too far. So bend the elbows a bit if needs be. Don't rush this, allow your back just to start to wake up and stretch. One more. And on the next one, you're going to take your hands back and just lace your fingers together and put your hand underneath your head. So we're going to reset the shoulder position if it needs it. So you're going to bring your elbows towards each other and take them away from each other, squeezing the shoulder blades together at that point. Again, if you feel it that your back's really lifting, then you might not be working across the right part of the body. So you're squeezing the shoulder blades together. Don't worry if your elbows don't touch the floor. It doesn't matter. You'll just get in your stretch. If, however, you do get to the stage where your elbows touch the floor, then you've pretty much done all you can. So what you do is keep your elbows on the floor and think about breathing really deep, right down into your belly, because your shoulders are where they need to be, so you can move on to a bit more breathing. The rest of us are trying to catch up with you. And then we're all just going to leave the elbows wherever they go, take them out to wherever they go, and breathe right into your belly. Fill your body up with oxygen. Enjoy that nice deep breath. Okay, we're going to go into our twisting. If your elbows sit comfortably on the floor and you're okay there, you can leave your arms where they are, or, like me, you can take your hands out to the side, palms facing up. Knees and feet together and twist. So take the legs over to one side, bring them back to centre, take them over to the side. Have your feet stacked, so that helps you get the hips stacked. Turn your head and look the opposite direction if you want to. You're going to find you twist easier one way than the other, we all do. You can hold that stretch, particularly on your very tight side. If you stay there, you might need to lift your top knee slightly just to make the hip feel more comfortable. But if you stay there for a few seconds and breathe into this long side of your body, it just might help just to release and give you a little bit more twist. Don't force it there. Side to side. Turn your head and look away from your legs if you want, and that will just give you a bit more work on the neck while you're at it. One more each way. Add on that leg stretch as well. So next time you come back, straighten the top leg and push through the foot. So we're now getting a little bit of release from around the back of the hip. Pull the toes towards you so the leg's nice and straight, and that will stretch through the hamstrings as well. Bend and come back. It just allows more muscles to work. The weight of the leg might, as you push through your foot, as if you're trying to push the wall away, you might find you come over a bit further. Just helps increase the stretch. A couple more of these. Sink the opposite shoulder into the floor. Lovely. Okay, come back to centre. And we'll just stretch around the back of the hip a little bit, so reset. If you're comfortable doing so, bring your knees into your chest. So you feel your lower back in contact with the mat. Just tilts the pelvis back. If you're not comfortable here, feet down on the floor, you might just want to stay still and allow that back just to start to loosen just by gravity. Or you can do a little bit of a rock, tightening the belly, bringing hips to ribs, tilt the pelvis back, and then level up and tilt forward. So you've got that option if lying still just doesn't suit you. But if you are happy lying still, bring your knees in. Any issues with the knees, you might find putting your hands around the front is just too much, increases that flexion too much. Hands around the back of the knees is fine. Relax the shoulders. Bring your hips towards your ribs, so you're letting the pelvis tilt back, and then use your thigh muscles to bring the legs towards you rather than getting your arms to do all the work. Breathe. Let the floor support your weight. Again, close your eyes if you want to, and just look, just scan for any tension that you're holding. I just felt it around my neck, shoulders then, just let it go. If you want to, take your knees a little bit wider and your feet a little bit wider. Just release the stretch slightly, so just let your knees move away from your belly a little bit. And then we're getting into the hips. If you're not happy in this position, put your feet on the floor and you can have your knees and feet apart with your feet off the floor instead. So the weight of your legs is supported on the floor rather than your hips and back. If you're okay here, have the knees and feet apart. Breathe. Again, just release the tilt a little bit so you come a little bit more back to a neutral spine, and then start to straighten the legs one at a time. Stretching through the legs. You don't have to fully straighten. I'd rather you keep a slight bend in the knee and keep the leg quite close to you than get it fully straightened and send it all the way away, because that just works the hip flexors too much. So keeping them quite close and stretching them out. Hold that stretch for a few seconds. If it's very tight around that knee, push the heel away, pull the toes towards you and just hold the stretch for a few seconds. put your hand round the leg somewhere. Again, you can use that towel that I mentioned if you want. You hold a towel around the leg just to give it a few seconds to stretch. If it's very tight, it won't go straight away. And then if you want, you can do both legs together. Whee! Again, I'd rather you keep a bend in the knee and have them quite close so your back is in contact with the floor than worrying about straightening them and sending them out there where your back starts to tilt forward. Kicking up. You might want to hold lower on the legs, so tilt the pelvis back even further so you can reach your shins or your toes. Engage the thigh muscles, use those to help keep your legs close. Bending and stretching the legs. And do a couple more of these. Hold the last one for a few seconds. Push the heels away. Good. Bring your knees and feet together, put your feet down and have a full body stretch. Lengthen out. Pull the shoulders down away from your ears, let your body stretch out. Relax the shoulders. Then we're going to get a little bit more stretch around the hips. So bring your arms back down by your side. Set your right calf down on the floor. Bend your left leg. Bring your foot off the floor and then bring that knee towards you. Keeping the right leg down. Hands can meet the leg, or you can use a towel around the back of your leg just to give you a little bit more length if you prefer to do that. Relax the shoulders. If you find as you draw that left knee towards you, your right leg lifts up and bends, then there's no stretch going on there. We're pretty much in the position we were in before. So what I need you to do is let the left leg move forward a bit until you can get your right calf down and if possible straight leg. Then you can work on keeping that right leg where it is and gradually using the thigh muscles on this left leg to draw it a little bit closer. Use a towel, the yoga strap, a dressing gown cord, whatever helps you hold onto that leg without tensing your shoulders. And while you're here, circle your foot a few times. And then we change legs, so straighten the left leg out, use the calf as your guide, bend your right leg, lift it, start to bring it in. If that left calf lifts up, or the knee bends a lot, then you've just done a pelvic tilt. Start again, take the leg back forward again and start again. Relax the shoulders. Once you've got into your stretch position, start to mobilise the ankle, moving your foot round. Really good this for loosening the hips, so when you take a step, you're not taking tiny little stuttery steps, nice strides. You do once more on each leg on your own. Oh, responsibility. Nice heavy straight leg. Nice loose ankle. Check when you're moving your foot that you are just working from the ankle, not from the knee. Sometimes the knee gets involved. I won't thank you for that. Last leg. And put your foot down. Have your full stretch, lengthen your body out, relax your shoulders. You might feel your rib cage wants to lift, and as long as your back feels okay with it, that's fine. Pulling your shoulders down your back. If you can hear that grumbling then, that's Benny telling me to shut up, he's trying to sleep. I speak greyhound, I'm fluent. It's not hard. Bring your arms down by your sides. Okay, we're going to go into a little bit more strength work now, so have your knees bent. We'll start with our marching, so we're getting the right amount of strength in the body. So knees bent, feet on the floor, relax the shoulders down and try and lengthen along your mat so you're not sinking down into the floor. Feet about hip distance apart. When you're ready, just take your right foot about an inch or two off the floor. Try and keep your pelvis level and your weight in the centre of your pelvis. your spine long and your shoulders relaxed and down. A few seconds here, then that foot returns to the floor and the left foot lifts. And you're trying to keep this centre really tight and the spine really long as you go from leg to leg. Just holding it a few seconds so you're aware that the leg muscles are doing some work. We haven't got too much flexion at the hip at the moment because we're not lifting very far, but we're just checking that when we basically stand on one leg, our weight doesn't shift around, so we know we've switched enough of our stabilising muscles on. So if you do feel like you kind of dropped off to one side, then you need to stretch the spine and zip up a little bit tighter. And you can stay with this, or you can come back to this if the moves get a bit much. But if you're ready, when you lift the foot this time, you come to your knee fold position. So more flexion at the hip, more flexion at the knee. Check that you can't see all of your lower leg, because if you can, hamstrings aren't working enough. So you need to pull the heel down till it's about level with the crease in the knee. You need to flex at the hip so the knee is over the hip and hold it for 5 seconds. When you've counted 5, that foot goes down, floats down, and the other leg floats up. So as best you can, the weight still stays at the centre of the pelvis and lengthened out from it. Sometimes people get so hung up on pulling these abs tight, they kind of go into a hunched shape. Lengthen. We want to leave these exercises looking long and tall, not short and stubby. Stretch out. Counting to 5. I'm still here, I've just gone quiet, in case you're lying down wondering what's going on. One more. Okay, now you can stay with these single leg knee folds if it's right for you, or you can come to double. So you lift the one leg just as you've just done. You might, like me, just do a slight tilt back, so you might bring your knee a little bit closer just to reduce the curve in your back slightly, if that feels better. And then zip up, lengthen the spine, you're going to float the other leg up. So you've got both feet off the floor. Count to 5. And one at a time you put your feet back to the floor. So up, lengthen out of that pelvis, float the other leg up, count to 5, feet down one at a time. Check when you're doing this that you're not pushing back into the floor, because the whole point of these moves is to make the front and back of our body strong, so when we're standing up and walking around, we're supporting our own structure, our skeleton. So if you find yourself pushing back into the floor, that's not going to help you when you're upright. So lengthen along the mat and feel that your body's nice and strong and supporting your weight. And do one more. Lift, lengthen, zip the centre, float the second leg up. Count to 5. Make sure these leg muscles are active, that they're pulling the knees towards you slightly, not just hanging out of that hip joint. And then one at a time, feet down, and have a good stretch. You might find your hips feel a little bit tight after that one, those 2 moves. So if they do, if you just bend your knees a bit, put your hands one on top of the other and put them under your bum, and then walk your feet forward. Soft bending the knee if you want is fine, but because your hips are now slightly higher than your knees, it'll just give you a stretch there. Alternative is to get a cushion and stick it under your bum just for a bit, just to stretch out the front of those hips, because we've got a single leg kick to do next and they can get a little bit tight. So when you're ready, single leg kick again. I'll do it in 2 levels, level 1 and level 2. So I'll start on level 1. If you want to go straight to level 2, feel free. I'm not there to tell you off. You wait. So neutral position, float the right leg up, 90 degree at hip and knee. Float the left arm up, hand directly over shoulder. Now make sure your rib cage is square and your pelvis is neutral. It's going to stay like that. So you're going to push the leg forward. To start with, you can have the leg quite high so your knees are kind of still level. Pull the arm back, pull this left shoulder down and square the rib cage. Tense the thigh muscles on the right leg and hold it for your 5 seconds. Bend the knee, bring the arm back down by your side, put your foot on the floor. Don't wobble, hold your weight in the centre of your pelvis. Lift the left leg and right arm. Push out. Tense the thigh, pull the shoulder back and down, square up the rib cage. Hold it for your 5 seconds. Back in and down. So it's almost like toy soldiers. I think some form Pilates schools call it toy soldier because you're kind of marching. Relax the shoulders. Thigh muscles working. Good. And then last one on this level. If you're going to move up with me. Tense the thigh muscles. I want these quads working hard now. I want these shoulders level. I want the rib cage drawn down on this right side. Okay, stay with that if you want. We'll come to double knee fold, if that's appropriate for you. So you lift the right leg, tilt the pelvis back slightly if needs be, lift the left leg, double knee fold. Bring both hands up, pull the shoulders down, tense the belly. Right leg pushes out, left arm pulls back. Left shoulder and rib cage square up with the right side, right quads tighten. Hold it for 5 seconds if you can. You might find that's too much now, so come in when you need to. Other side. Make sure with that leg extended that it's the quads holding it up there, not the lower back. So tense, I forgot where my arms are supposed to be. Tense the thigh muscles. Hold that leg. Back in. If you're finding you're getting tired, put your other foot back to the floor. But if you're feeling okay, you can start to straighten the leg a little bit lower to the floor if you want to. So you're really having to use these thigh muscles to stop it just dropping. Push out. Push your heel away and pull your toes towards you so the leg is nice and straight. Pull the shoulder down and square the rib cage. Good. Going to have one more each side. If you start to feel your technique is dropping, then rest or go to a lower level. Maybe you can go all the way back to marching if you want to. You're not holding your breath. Good. Put your feet down. Have a quick stretch, or you might want to do a few little hip lifts. We're going to do that for fun in a little bit, but you might want to just do a few of them now just to release the hips. They can get a little bit tight. Or you can straighten your legs or put your hands underneath your bum if you prefer a more passive stretch. I'm going to offer double leg. So what we've just done, but rather than just one arm and one leg, both arms and both legs. It's a tough move and it requires you to flex your shoulders off the floor. So if you're not a double knee fold or you've got any osteoporosis or slip disc, then it's not really for you. So you can either watch and be impressed by me doing it, or you can go straight into those hip lifts, which is where we're going to come next. Right, so if you're going to do it, come to single and then double knee fold. Relax the shoulders, bring both hands up, tense the middle, and you're going to curl up. So you're going to bring your ribs towards your pelvis, curling your shoulders off the floor. Bring your legs together and press the thighs and the calves together. Then move the legs forward, and if you can, pull the arms back to the side of your head. Tense that middle. Bring the arms and legs back, roll the spine back to the floor. Have another go. It's a tough one. So you curl up, so your lower back is in contact with the floor. Push out through the legs, back with the arms. Tense that middle. Come in, roll down. If it's too much for your neck, you can, if you want to, put your hands underneath your head. So you curl up and let your head sit against your hands, elbows out to the side, then extend the legs. So you'll just support the weight of your head. So that's an option if you want. Otherwise, one more, curl up, pull the ribs to the hips, hold yourself up, extend the legs, and if you can, pull the arms back. Come in, roll down. Well done. Hip lifts now, as promised. So heels nice and close to your bum. If you've got a block under your head, take it away, or a cushion. Put it between your knees if you want, and that will make you work the inner thighs. With your heels nice and close to your bum, Reset your shoulders and let your hands just sit on the floor. They might need to give you a bit of help to start with because you're going to lift your hips off the mat. And down. Now again, if you're quite tight around these hips, there's a tendency to not come up very high. So you've still got that crease, that kind of dip at the hip. So what you're trying to do is bit by bit, squeeze your bum and push yourself up a little bit higher. Try to not slide. Sliding means that you're not actually stretching, you're just reducing the line, the angle at that hip. So you're trying to set your weight in your shoulders and your feet and lift up and down. If you get to the stage where you think, well, I'm up as high as I'm going to get without going on my neck, which is good, I'm using, legs are active, holding myself up there, then you can take your hands off the floor, float them up, float them back. Nice back stretch. Use your bum muscles, keep those hips up. Bring your hands back up to the ceiling, and as you start to lower your body, you push down with your hands. Check you haven't slid. If you end up with your feet a long way from your bum, then you're going to get hamstring cramp because they work too hard then. So keep walking them close to you. Lift your hips up. Make sure you've lifted the torso as well, not just dropping into the body. So we're lifting up through the spine, arms up and back. Keep that body lifted. Check the knees haven't widened, so a little squeeze of those inner thigh muscles if needed. Hands back to the ceiling and slowly down. You can stay and repeat that, which is a really good one, or I'm going to try and get you to be a bit off balance. So if you can, take the cushion away from between your knees and bring your knees together and your feet. Now have a go. So up. It's much harder to get up there. You have to really use your outside bum muscles to go up there. So again, you might want to spend a few where you don't actually move your arms because you need them on the floor. But they might be giving you a bit more support at the moment. It's harder to keep the knees and feet. You might find a little separation, that's fine. But I want you to feel a little bit off balance. If you get to the stage where you think, well, I'm doing my best and I'm stopping up there, and you want to move your arms, so you come up to your bridge, you bring the arms up, and back, just like we did before. What I'm getting you slowly, carefully to is one leg bridge. So this is a little bit closer to a one leg bridge. Okay, so again, stay with that, or with knees and feet together, you're going to come up to your bridge, keep your arms on the floor, put your weight on your right foot, and without lowering your hips or any sitting back feeling, lift your left foot to knee fold. Keep pushing up through your hips. Put your left foot to the floor. Press down a little bit into your left foot, mind for cramp. Lift your right foot. Keep pushing up through those hips, drawing your shoulders into the floor. And down, and back to the mat. If you need to release after that one, because it's quite demanding, bring your knees into your chest for a second. Come back to it when you can. So I'll go through it again. Knees and feet roughly together. If there needs to be a gap, that's fine, but roughly together. Up. Set your shoulders. Decide which foot's going to lift off the floor, because the other foot's going to have a little bit more weight in it. Keep the hips up. Take the foot off the floor. Come to your knee fold. If you want to, straighten the leg. Use the thigh muscles to pull that leg towards you and pull your toes down. Really lift up through your supporting leg. Put that foot to the floor. One more. Press through your supporting foot a bit. Grind down through your shoulders and your arms. Lift your non-supporting foot. If you can, straighten it. Tighten those thigh muscles and pull the leg towards you and pull the toes down. Lift through those hips. Put that foot down. Put your bum down. Well done. Bring your knees to your chest. We're going to do some seated work now, so you can roll over onto your side and push yourself up, or put the hands around the back of your knees, push your legs forward, and that will bring you up to sitting. Grab a quick drink. Well, I'm going to anyway. You can just watch me have a drink if you want. Marvellous. Right, a bit of seated work. So we'll start with our beetle and angel, just to loosen up and get used to sitting. Remember, sitting, you might want to sit on a cushion just to lift you a little bit higher and allow you to straighten your back, or roll your mat up a few times just to lift you. Have your knees bent for a position that's comfortable for you. And to start with, try and lift out of that pelvic bowl so you're not slouching down into it. Then let your body come forward. Rest your weight on your legs and enjoy that nice lower back stretch. Breathe into your back. You're aiming to get your belly and your thighs quite close together. When you've had enough there, pull yourself back up straight. Keep lifting out that pelvis. Take your arms wide and squeeze your shoulder blades together. Ready to start again, so you allow your weight to come forward. So you feel that nice lift and stretch through your lower back. Breathe into your back for a few seconds, relax your neck. And then stack from tailbone to crown. Pull the shoulders back and down and open the chest. Really breathe deep. Couple more of these. You might find if your hamstrings are starting to get used to this stretch that you can have your legs a little bit straighter, and as you come forward still have your belly and your thighs close together. So you're getting a nice longer stretch, and then pull yourself up and open out. One more. Again, set your legs to the right stretch for you. Curl up and over. Relax the neck. As soon as you start to feel tension in the neck, then the legs are too straight, so just give them a bit more of a bend. Pull yourself up. Set your shoulders where you want them. And pull your arms back. Good. It's nicer, isn't it? Bit of twisting now. So we'll start off supporting the twist. So have your legs however you want. Some people like to cross them, some like to straighten them. Fine, I'm sort of in the middle. So find your stretch position. Sit up nice and straight. Right hand on the floor. Turn towards that right hand so you're twisting. And then you come back to centre and you twist the other way. So hand just underneath the shoulder and rest on your fingers so you're not tempted to push back, because you want that hand to push you up and twist. So you're going from side to side and you're trying to rotate your shoulders but not your hips. So you're turning your torso, presenting your sternum, so pushing your sternum forward slightly if you tend to go a bit slouchy. Lift up and twist. Other hand can just sit against the side of your leg for a bit of bracing if that helps. One more. You can stay with that. That's quite a nice stretch if your back's very tight. Or we can bring it into strength. So for strength, your arms basically aren't going to help you. So you can have your legs in the same shape. I find it easier to do the next bit with my legs straight, but in a bit of an experiment, some people like to cross them. You're going to fold your arms and you're going to pull your shoulders back and down. So I want that sternum lifted. The rib cage does not press deep into your belly. And then you rotate. So you're still turning the shoulders but not the hips. And you'll find because you haven't got the support of your arms, your legs try to do more. So you're aware of your quads working there. So try and lift up out of that pelvic bowl, and as best you can, switch the leg muscles off. Even if it means bending them or changing position. So you're really using muscles in your back, around your waist, through your shoulders and your chest to make you move. Keep pulling your torso towards your legs. Sometimes we start to drop back. So pull up, keep that 90-degree angle. Easier to do than to say, clearly. And you can stay with this, or if you want a harder version again, extend the arms out. Pull the shoulders back and down, and then twist. So your arms are now not only are they not helping, they're actually hindering because they're heavy. What you've got to watch for is arm creep. Sometimes you twist and the arm carries on. So if you reduce the distance between your hands, keep your hands wide. Pulling your shoulders back and down, lifting your chest. makes you warm, this one. Makes me warm. Going to go once more. Lift out of that pelvis, pull the shoulders down your back. And then you can bend. Good. Bend your legs. A little bit of sitting forward or a little bit of Beacon Angel if you want to. And we're going to go into some chest stretching. So again, when you're ready, you're going to lean back slightly. So just sort of tense your fingers and rest on your fingers. I want you to be on your fingers rather than the flat of your hands because I don't want you to push with your arms. So just resting on your fingers. So I want you to pull your shoulder blades together and pull them down so your chest lifts. And release. So you're pulling back. Try not to push on your fingers. Your arms are there to give you some support, but I want you to use the muscles under your shoulder blades to lift you up. We get very weak there because we spend most of our time forward flexed in sitting, then we get very wide across the back and those muscles don't work enough. That's what makes us round shoulders. So pull back and pull down, lift that torso up. To extend the stretch, stay there and breathe deep right into your belly, feel your ribs expanding. Good. And again, so pull back and down. Feel the front of your body lift and stretch. Good. Okay, now I'm going to bring us into leg pull front. Basically that one. If it's not for you, or you don't find you can do many of them and want to go back, just go back to what we've just been doing. But if you can, place your hands flat on the floor and you can turn your fingers whichever way is right for you. Sometimes you might want to do a quarter turn, so get your hands right for you. Pull your shoulders back and down. Bend your right leg so the sole of your foot is on the floor. Straighten your left leg. Now, rest on the heel of your left foot. Pull your shoulders back. And as you lift your chest this time, press into your right foot and lift your hips off the floor. Press a little bit into your left foot and point your toes if you want to. Lift that chest up. Lift out of the floor. And down again. Change legs. Check that you haven't moved too far away from your hands because that will overwork your shoulders. So bring yourself a bit closer to your arms. Pull your shoulders back and down. As you lift your torso, press into your left foot and lift your hips. A little bit of pressure on your right heel and point your toe. Pull your shoulders down your back. Push yourself away from that floor. And down. Now you can repeat that once more off each side, or you can straighten both legs, so you're not going to get as much help. Pull your shoulders back just the same. As you lift your chest, lift your hips, push into both heels, softly point your toes. Push the floor away with your hands. Squeeze your bum and lift those hips up. And feel marvellous. Okay, maybe not the legs bit. Last bit. And down. We're going to do one more. Check you're not too far forward because you'll overstrain your shoulders. Pull your shoulders back, and as your chest lifts up, so do your hips. Lift. Press into the floor with your arms. Lift your body. Squeeze your bum. Point your toes if that helps you stretch the front of those legs. Really lift up through these arms. And down. Bend your knees and sit forward. Good job. Right. We've nearly done with the sitting one, but we've got a bit of V-sitting to do. So all I want you to do, to start with, as we've just done, just rest on your hands. So you're just leaning back slightly. Soles of the feet on the floor, so knees bent. And you're just going to lift up out of those torso, no sinking. And you're going to lift your right leg to knee fold. And put it down. And lift your left leg to knee fold. So you're bringing your thigh towards your belly. Using the thigh muscles. And what I want you to make sure is as you lift the leg, you don't drop backwards. So you allow your chest to stay lifted as your knee comes towards it. So you can stay here, or you can come to double lift. So get your shoulders comfy, turn your hands if your shoulders are feeling too tight. Right leg, lift the torso. You might need to move your hands back slightly to allow you to lean back a little bit more. Left leg. Feet down one at a time. Arms behind you are giving you a little bit of prop so that your back muscles aren't having to do all the work. But I want you to think about lifting your chest up. So when you lift your leg and lift your leg, We're not dropping back. And you can stay with that, or you can rest, or we can try it without the arms behind us. So you come back again, put your hands at the back of your knees this time, and lean back just slightly, tensing your body. Again, take your right leg off the floor and put it down. And take your left leg off the floor and put it down. Now, keeping that torso up. So you're keeping your body in a nice straight line so you can bring your knee towards you. Again, stay with this. Really banking your back nice and strong. Or lift your right leg. You might need to lean your shoulders back slightly, but don't arch. Then your second leg. So you've got both feet off the floor. Just right balancing just above your coccyx. Holding onto the legs keeps you up there. Feet down one at a time. Have one more go, so sit up again. Lean back slightly to allow you to lift your right leg. Maybe lean back slightly more to allow you to lift your left leg. Keep the chest lifted. And down. I'm going to try it without the arms if you want to. If you want to have a quick stretch out first, just to stretch your hips, you can. Then we'll try it without the arms holding on at all. So, we can do it. I've got every faith in us. Lean back slightly, holding onto the legs. Lift your right leg. A little bit more, stretch through the spine. Lift your left leg. Now tense your body and see if you can take one at a time, take your hands off your legs. Just bring them out in front. Keep lifting your torso towards your legs. Feet down one at a time, hands behind the legs to help. How was that? I knew you'd be all right. Have another go. So lengthen through the spine, rise the left leg, right leg. Lean back a little bit more if you want to. Left leg. Stretch through that back. Take your right hand off. Take your left hand off. Lift the torso towards the legs. Hold it. Hands back on the legs. Feet back to the floor. How was that? Good. Glad you enjoyed it. Right, lying on your side with a bit of side work. So down you go. Put your block or your arm underneath your head. Have your knees bent. We're going to do our arm circles today. So start with your right arm, and well, whichever your top arm is, whichever way you've laid down, but your top arm, just rest your hand lightly on your shoulder and circle round. So circling your elbow round. But as your arm starts to circle back, you roll back. So you're getting that twist. Not too much lift of the legs because we want that rotation. And you can stay with this bent arm version, or if your shoulder lets you, you can do the straight arm version. Reaching forward, reaching back. I like to feel your shoulder blade moving. Gently press into the floor with your lower leg. Just for stability, and you're stretching out that pelvis to allow you to move, twisting round. Supporting your head with your bottom hand or your cushion so your neck doesn't tense up. One more. One. It's a nice one. I'll let you do one more. May just do the horrible things for ages. We only get 4 minutes. There you go. Okay, then we're going to go into torpedo. And if you do this one properly, there won't be side plank, so it's all down to you. Now, you can do torpedo with both legs straight, that's the full version, but some people are very bendy. So what they tend to do then is overextend to try and find a straight line. So if you find you kind of pulling your feet back and pushing your body forward, that's not the right line. So instead of doing that, just bend your bottom leg and put your bottom leg on the floor, and that might help you find that neutral line rather than overextending to find a stability. So bottom leg bent if needs be, or both legs straight. Lift the waist away from the floor a bit and roll that top shoulder back and down. So you're not overstretching, but you're not collapsing in either. Gap between your rib and your hip is set, and it's going to stay like that. So you're going to use your outer thigh muscles to pull that top leg up. And you'll get that point where you can feel your bum muscles working, but if you go any higher, then the pelvis drops. That's too high. So find that position. Hold it there for a second or two, squeeze your bum, and then lower your foot back to the floor. And try and line your feet up so you haven't suddenly got a top leg shorter than the bottom leg. Pull that hip down if you have. Rib cage lifted. Use the outer thigh muscles to pull the top leg up. Find that point where you've got maximum contraction in the bum, but the pelvis hasn't tilted. And down. And you can stay with this. This is really good for building up that torso stability and the bum strength. Or you can lift the top leg, push it away a bit so the hips are square, tense the inner thigh muscles down that bottom leg and lift it. It'll only come up a little way. Lift it up. Bring the top foot down to it. Line your feet up. And I want you to use the side muscles underneath you to keep your legs lifted. So you're aware of holding those legs away from the floor. And then lower them back down again. If your knees are a bit achy, you don't have to have locked out legs. You can soften the knees if you need to. So stretch out of the torso. Lift the top leg until you feel those bum muscles engaged, but the pelvis hasn't tilted. Tense the bottom leg, so squeeze the thigh muscle a bit and pull it upwards. Pull it towards that top leg. It's not going to come very far because we're not moving the hips. Bring the top foot down to it, and then feel all the muscles in this lower body holding those legs up. Hold it for a few seconds, and then lower down. I want you to start to feel it around the waist. Those are the muscles we really want to target. So relax the shoulders, have another go. Lift the top leg. Square the hips, tense and lift the bottom leg. Check you're not pushing into your bottom shoulder. Stretch out and find your strength. Top foot to bottom foot. And then lower. Excellent. Bend your legs. Put your top hand on the floor, just about chest level, and push yourself away from the floor. So you're sitting up. And then scoot over and do the other side. I trust that you did those well enough that I don't need to make you do side plank. Just let me know if I'm wrong. So lying down again. Arms underneath your head or cushion. If you get a cushion there, then this bottom arm can just come out in front if you want to. Okay, top arm, just bent, and start to stir around, circling around. Try not to let the hips lift too much. You might find a little bit of a drop back, but if you're dropping all the way from the hips, then obviously there's no twist. So as much as you can, keep that lower body nice and still. You can bring your feet a bit further forward if that helps you stabilise the lower body. And if this feels okay and you want a little bit more work, try it with the arms straight. So you want that twist. Sometimes people only work the shoulder. I want to move through the shoulder and into that upper back, so you're twisting back. Pulling your shoulder down your back. It's a good stretch for the front of the body as well then. Round you go. Supporting your head with your arm so your neck's not too tight. One more. The nice ones are already over much quicker than the horrible ones, aren't they? I know. Then we've got our torpedo. So remember, if you find it really hard to get a straight line and you tend to go into that banana bridge sort of shape, have the bottom leg bent. It's not that you're not strong, it's you might have a bit more mobility in your body. Your ligaments are a little bit stretchier and it's hard to find. You have to go to an extreme to get stability and we don't want that. So bottom leg bent if you want. Otherwise, both legs straight, and try and line your feet up so you're not collapsing into the mat. You'll know because your top leg will look shorter. Lift the rib cage and stretch out. Then you can put your hand on your hip if you want to make sure it stays still. You're going to lift the top leg until you can feel your bum muscles working, but your pelvis hasn't dropped into the floor. You can hold it for a few seconds just to check that out, pulling the waist up, and then lower. Because these side exercises, you've got a lot less stability. We tend to, if we're not noticing, push down in the shoulder for a bit of help. You'll be careful of that because you'll hurt your shoulder. So all the work comes from the waist down. If you want level 2, lift the top leg, stretch out a little bit more through the bottom leg, so push through the heel and tense the inner thigh muscles. And then that might just help you pull that leg up a bit. Bring your top foot to your bottom foot so you haven't moved onto that hip bone. Stretch out and then lower your feet to the mat. Have a rest. Start again. So lengthen the spine. Lift the top leg until you can feel the bum muscles are working but you haven't moved your hip any closer to your ribs. Tense the inner thigh and pull it away from the floor. Really use those inner thigh muscles to lift it. Top foot to bottom foot, stretch out through your spine, and then lower. Couple more if you can, so really try and use these side muscles, but always monitor your neck and shoulders. If they start to hurt, that's probably a sign that you've done enough reps. Feet together and lower. I'm going to do one more. Lift, stretch, tense the inner thigh muscles and pull away from that mat. Top foot comes down to it, pressing the legs together and pushing the feet away. And then lower. Bend your knees. Good work. Sit up, grab a drink. I'm going to do some work lying on our fronts now to really lengthen through that spine. If you don't like being on your front, I know some people find it a bit claustrophobic, you can be on your knees and I'll give you that version. But otherwise, you're going to lie down on your front. You can put a cushion underneath your forehead so you don't press into your nose if you want to, and bring your arms down by your sides. All I want you to do is pull your shoulder blades together. Squeeze back and hold it for a few seconds. And then release. So squeeze your shoulder blades together. If you're up on your knees, you're doing the same. So you're up here, hands in your back pockets, pulling your shoulders back. It's the same move, but it's slightly less claustrophobic than being flat to the floor. So those of you lying down on your front, as you pull your shoulders back now, stretch your spine, make yourself a bit taller, and see if you can use the muscles in your upper back particularly to pull you away from the mat. If you get that feeling of pushing on your belly, you've come too far. I just want you to feel that your upper back is lifting some of your torso off the floor, and then you relax it back down. So you pull your shoulders back and down, stretch through your spine, and use these back muscles. I don't need you to come up very high. I just need you to engage them. So squeeze, slide them down your back, use that upper back, try and pull your belly up from the floor and tense your thigh muscles. Good. Really good for upper back posture this. If you're a bit slouchy when you get tired, it's a good one to just get those muscles working. So pull back, stretch, slide your shoulders down and use these upper back muscles. You might feel your bum muscles clenching. Tighten your thigh muscles to help hold you up there. Good. One more if you can. Pull back, stretch the spine, pull your shoulders down, tense your thigh muscles and lift up. Smashing and relax. Put your hands about level with your shoulders. Push down into your hands and lift yourself up into your table position. Bit of cat and cow after that one to get our breath back. Curl into a ball. Tuck your tailbone under. Pull your pubic bone forward. Press your hands into the floor and bring your shoulders in. Straighten out. Pull your shoulder blades down and press your sternum forward. Arch down your spine, lifting your tailbone. You can lift your chin as long as you're not overworking the neck. And level up again. So you're working to round your spine. You're starting at the tailbone, pulling that under and slowly working up your back. Finishing by pushing down into your hands and pulling your shoulders forward and gently tucking your chin in. And then you level out. To arch the back, we'll start the other way. So you press down with your hands, pull your shoulders back and down and press your sternum forward and start to arch through the spine and lift your tailbone. And level up. The reason I'm going through it that way is I'm trying to get you to work the reluctant bits of the spine and work them first. So when we round the spine, we tend to forget the tailbone. So pull it under and pull the pubic bone towards you and round over it, pressing into the floor at the last. So we don't overwork the upper back. And then level. When we arch the back, we tend to overwork the lower back and not the upper. So we'll start at the upper back. So press down and back with your hands. Pull your shoulders down your back. Press your sternum forward between your arms and work down to your tailbone. And level up again. Bit of 3/4 now. So I want you to bring your hands further forward. And I want you to bring your weight forward. So slide forward. Keep pushing the floor away and keep your shoulders wide. I don't want to drop onto your belly. So pull your belly away from that floor. Tuck your bum under slightly. Back onto your knees. Sit your hips back. Keep your hands where they are if you can. So you're pushing your hips back, lowering your chest towards the floor, stretching into your chest and shoulders. Come up and forward when you want to. So as you start to feel the weight go into your hands, push down with your hands. As your belly goes closer to the floor, pull your belly away from the floor. Slide your shoulders down your back. Push back up onto your knees. And as you sit back, your hips move back. Keep your hands where you can. If you want, you might even be able to creep them a bit further forward. And lower your chest towards the mat. You'll feel quite a deep stretch in your shoulders. Up and forward. As you bring your weight into your hands, push down. As you lower your belly, squeeze it tight. Squeeze your butt. You might find your tailbone needs to tuck under slightly. Sometimes we go into overarched back and stick the butt out. You'll feel that in your lower back. So you might need to point your tailbone down towards the floor. Push up and push back. Good. On the next one, if you want to, we'll come to full plank. So you come to your 3/4 plank, push the floor away, keep your belly lifted from the floor, tuck your toes, straighten your right leg and push your heel away. So you've sent your weight all the way down to your heel. Press a little bit harder into your hands so the weight can come off your left knee so you can straighten your left leg. Keep those shoulders nice and wide, keep lifting away from that floor. When you've had enough, knees down, sit back. Come to 3/4 plank again. Push the floor away, tuck the toes. Push into the floor a little bit more so you can straighten your right leg and push through your heel. A little bit more, press through the floor so you can lift your left knee. Push away from that floor, keep yourself lifted. Arms might start to shake. Put your knees down and sit back. Well done. You can enjoy that nice stretch in the lower back. Bring your hands to your knees. You can sit up, sit your bum down on your feet if you want to. If that suits your legs, it doesn't suit everybody's. If you prefer, keep your hand on the floor. Just stretching out the legs. It's a good quad stretch. Then put your hands back on the floor. Quick calf stretch, so into your table position. Straighten your right leg, tuck your toes under and without leaning back, push your right heel towards the floor. So your weight is still on your hands but you're pushing your heel down. And then change legs. Sometimes people kind of go back with it, which takes the stretch out. So push into your hands and press through your foot. Good stretch for the calf. And that means that when we try and stand up, we've got the stretch in the ankles to do it. So bring your hands in front of your knees, tuck your toes under, press down into your hands so you can lift your knees off the floor and come back. Get your heels down, hands on the legs and slowly uncurl. Come up to standing. Roll the shoulders back and down. So set your feet. So let's get our alignment. Head directly over shoulders, shoulders directly over hips, hips directly over feet. And then lift out of that floor. Pull your belly in a little bit, tuck your tailbone down. If you tend to be very arched in the back, your bum starts to stick out without you noticing it and then you get lower back tension. So tuck your tailbone down, lift your chest up. Bring your arms out in front and we're just going to do a few swings. So as your arms come back in a ski motion, you sit back into your squat. Drive your arms up and as your arms come to the ceiling, you push your hips forward. So you're swinging down, sitting back, swinging up, arching the back. Go at your pace. You might be going slower than me, you might be going quicker than me. As long as you're in control of the move. So you're letting your spine move, letting your knees and hips move, getting your heart going a little bit. Yeah. We're going to do one more. So here we go, last one. And on that one, you're going to reach up. You're not going to overextend the spine. You're just going to reach up. You're going to pull your shoulders down your back and reach the top of your head for the ceiling. Spread your toes out and try and level your weight up so it's even across the shoulders and the hips. Tuck your belly in, tuck your tailbone under if you need to. I'm going to face you for this one so you can see what I'm going to do. So keeping your arms about shoulder distance apart, you're going to tilt to the side. And then you're going to come up and you're going to tilt to the other side. Mind that you don't drop forward. So imagine a pane of glass just in front of your nose. So you can't tip forward, you'll bump your nose. If this is too much, lower your arms down by your sides. Good. Last one, over we go. And then bring your arms round, back down, roll the shoulders back and down. We're going to finish with our roll down. Not appropriate for slip discs or osteoporosis because you're not supported as you go over. So your alternative, you lucky people, is a few squats. Just to build up glute strength. Remember with these squats, hips go back, knees do not come forward. Otherwise we're going to do our ragdoll. So start with your feet about hip distance, maybe a little bit wider, and try and have the weight more in the middle than the heels so you can send your weight forward. Tuck your chin in and look down at your feet and soften your knees. Hands can just slide down the legs then, so you start to slowly roll down the spine, and at any point where your spine starts to feel tight and grumble at you, you stop. You let your arms move away from your legs and you hang. And then you'll feel that part of your spine stretch, and then you can carry on when you're ready. So bending your knees as you want to. I don't want you to go into a squat, but I want you to just relax the legs and you're slowly working down. So you get to that stage where your head goes down and your bum goes up. Let the weight rock slightly more into the front of your feet if you go low. And breathe. Relax your neck and your shoulders. Soften the legs if they're feeling very tight. Bend your arms and just grasp onto your elbows so you made kind of a box shape. And then a little rock from left to right. Relaxing through the hips. And you'll find, I always eat my necklace at that point, you'll find as you just let the weight come into the front of your feet a little bit, without gripping your toes, that you'll start to go over lower. Just rocking. No pressure. And relax your arms, let them hang. And if you can balance it, you can put your hands on your legs or the floor if you can reach it. Rock gently, just a little bit on your feet. If you've got the balance, you might not need to hold the floor, but it's quite challenging not to hold on. I don't want you to end up on your head. And then hang again, bum up, head down, and breathe. And you might find you can bring your body a little bit closer to your legs and really stretch out the back of these hips. Okay, put your hands on your legs and slowly start to walk up. So when you get high enough, your tailbone points straight down between your heels and you build over. And you're building your spine like a nice straight wall. One bone over the other. Rolling your shoulders back and down, readjusting your feet position for balance. Pulling the air into your body. Sending the stale air out. Okay, that's another one ticked off. Well done, hope you enjoy it. Let me know. I'm hoping that we're going to get the classes back beginning of September. It looks like we certainly will for the Burcott. I'm not sure about All Saints at the moment. They're still discussing it. But I'll keep you informed. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.